right, welcome. So week 18 here. There's a lot going on right now this week and last week, and we are close enough here to the completion date where we're projecting work out that far. So should be able to give you a pretty good picture of at least the projection and the estimated schedule here as we go forward. So I think probably just best to keep with the process here. I'll let you, Ryan, give us a schedule update, and then I can kind of summarize and close like I always seem to do. So if you don't mind, Ryan.
I don't. All right. Out there right now today, they're doing they're making the main drive lanes pour. It's going to take them all day, but it looked like they were going along pretty well. So that's the same schedule that we've had for the last few weeks. We were really targeting this day to stay on track, and we've been able to make it. Late last week, Saturday, they poured the straight curb down each block, and then what that'll allow us to do now is to work on the intersection, the tiebacks, the rest of this week with Plum being first, and then Bush after that. Work on the parking lane, pour that out next week, as well as the center drive lane next week, and then get into the Potter intersection probably late next week or early the following. All the curb and gutter and sidewalks will work in conjunction in there somewhere. Next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have a whole lot more concrete going on this north side of the road like we did on the south side of the road a few weeks ago. We're forecasting to be done with all of our concrete a week into August, and if that holds, then we would be, of course, ahead of schedule for the job. So that's what we're shooting for right now. Got a little bit of asphalt that has to get tied in as well, and some trees that have to get planted in those areas. We still got a little bit of sub work at the corner of Potter and 61, but just one more obelisk to build and a little bit of fence to put up.
The decorative railing.
Yeah, and I got to say obelisk.
Yeah, the pillars.
You call it a pillar, I call it an obelisk.
All right.
And I guess that's really the whole schedule. It's not just 3 weeks, that's the whole thing. We're 4 weeks and done is what we're hoping for.
So lighting within those next few weeks as well, I imagine.
Yep. Yeah, lighting's forecasted for weeks 3 and 4 of this schedule.
Okay. What happens at the signal poles, Corey? Those existing signals, of course, are staying there, but we're refinishing those as well as part of the project?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they'll be repainted to kind of match our lighting,
Correct.
Black lighting scheme that we poles. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's correct. So, all right. Well, thank you, Ryan. So, yeah, we made a few changes here last week that, as far as kind of progression of work, and one of the bigger ones is we expedited work in Plum Street. So we worked with those folks immediately infected, Redwig Shoe and ADM, and we started with the utility work, getting that completed late last week, and by having that utility work completed, it allowed us the option to pave through it, and so that was a decision we made as well, and that my update reflected. But I think by going through Plum Street with the paver, it not only gives us the best product from a rideability standpoint, but it also, I think, closes Plum Street the least amount of time possible. Potter's a little unique. There's a median there, and so by keeping that till the last intersection, I think makes a lot of sense, and getting Plum Street here done first. So appreciate Red Wing Shoe and ADM working with us, and they will continue to while Plum is closed, since it is utilized. But it'll be mainly the intersections the rest of this week. That's going to be the focus, Plum and Bush, as Ryan mentioned. While the main line cures, that's really all you can do, because you can't get back on this main line paving. And then next week, the hope is that the main line's cured, and then we can fill in that center turn lane and complete the remaining work, say, at the intersections. Maybe start some sidewalk work if it works. And then once Plum is cured out, then the work would focus down at Potter, and then we continue to bring the sidewalks along. So it's going to be real heavy concrete, but it's pretty specific here as how the progression will be. So it's going to be a lot of emphasis on the road first, filling in those holes as soon as the curing allows, and then bringing the sidewalks along as they fit in and make sense. And so it'll come together here, I think, pretty seamlessly and pretty quickly. It's just a lot of work yet to do, and gotta work around the curing. So, and then as Ryan mentioned, once all the concrete's in place, then we can finish kind of the last remaining pieces, get the street lights up and the trees planted. There's not a lot of landscaping or other decorative work beyond really that in this downtown, since everything's concrete already. So that will come together pretty quickly. I think you'd see the lights go up in a couple days and trees planted in a day. So once we get to that point, I think it'll go pretty quick. And at that point, we certainly need traffic a little different so we can get to those outside lanes and do that work. And so that just naturally makes sense to do that at the end and likely all at one time. So I think there's enough time here to do it all, and we're projecting it to be that way. So it's just going to be a one final push here, in order to get it. But so with that, as far as really, I think other updates, everything's been pretty much as we've been stating it. At the very end here, there's still a little bit of work in stage one that we will come back and get, and so for the majority, it'll be done here in August 12th. But there'll be a little bit of presence yet, through into the fall with getting the punch list and everything how it needs to be. So that'll be very limited, very specific areas, and scheduling will be a little bit more probably, more random. It won't be probably linear, get it all done all at one time. It'll just be as it makes sense. But just be aware of that, I guess. We say August 12th, and that's going to be everything, but there'll be a few things remaining, and that'll even carry over into what was done last summer. So just be aware of that. But very, very isolated, very limited. We've got a little roadway crack, and then we'll likely have to address. And a big project of this nature, you're going to have some of that. So just wanted to put that out there right now, and I can continue doing updates and keeping people versed on that, but just something to be aware of. So I don't know if you had anything else, Jay, I'm missing.
Well, just probably this week, like Ryan said today, they're doing the concrete paving with a large machine, but after that, it's really a lot of handwork, correct, Ryan? I mean, hand set curb, hand pouring panels, hand pouring sidewalk. It's a little more intensive.
We've done all the machine pour after today.
What's that?
All the machine pour will be done today.
Yep, all the machine pour will be done today. So that takes some time. So you see them pave a heck of a long stretch here with a big machine, and then these smaller pieces just take time, and that's what we're looking at with the 3 weeks following. So.
We want to take some questions. Any questions at all that you may have, or concerns, or?
Will the sidewalks be done by? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Will the sidewalk be done by reducing days?
The 5th, I think it's the 5th, 6th, 4th, 5th, 6th weekend.
Let's get on the schedule.
It's going to be really close. It's too close to call right now. I'd lean towards probably not quite done.
But some would be put in place.
Right. Some of them will, some of them won't.
I would say projecting out for River City Days, Bush and Plum will be open, and I would say that the sidewalk's going to go in very, very similar to how it went on the south side, where the portion along the buildings will be the first pour, and then the infill between the curb and that would be the second pour. That'll have to carry through then on this north side as well. So I would say that from a sidewalk perspective, if it wasn't all in place, the majority, if not all, the portion along the building would be. And it'd just be a matter of filling in that remaining piece. So I think, to speak to Ryan, we're right on that line. But we certainly understand, River City Days, and the work's going to progress, and we're going to push for it. But I'd say from a pedestrian standpoint, I think is what you're looking at, and Bush Street will be reopened by then. It'll have to, because work's going to have to take place in Potter. Even though Bush isn't dependent on that necessarily, but it makes a lot of sense to get that open as soon as we can. So that's if things go really well, I could be end of next week potentially, by getting, if we get Kier and get that third lane poured early next week, which we're planning to hopefully do, so. So I think from an access standpoint, if you're specifically speaking, the St. James area and stuff, it's gonna look drastically different than what it is now. Likely have that crossing back at Bush for pedestrians, and have that area, up to your front door back open, so.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense to focus on the sidewalk on the west end first. I think that's the most critical from a access, restoration, get businesses back standpoint, so I don't see much issue with not getting that first block in as one of the first pours with the sidewalk. So, well, I think that's a fair enough request and would certainly provide great benefit to getting those folks back to the front doors there. And the block down by Potter one could argue is a little less significant. So probably makes sense to save that till the last. So. No promises completely, but it's going to be a heck of a lot better.
Yeah.
Heck of a lot better.
The
So,
north side of the street is going to be open until all the cement is poured on the third lane and the sidewalks?
without having talked about that so the question is the traffic configuration going to stay like it is until the complete north side is done? I would say for the most part, yes. It makes a lot of sense. I think the schedule shows that we're able to obtain that. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to change the traffic configuration now until all the concrete's done. I don't think you're gaining a lot there. That being said, though, the intersections we'd open as available.
Yeah.
But to actually do a traffic shifting, say getting that northbound traffic over into its appropriate lanes, that doesn't make sense really until all the concrete's done.
Right, except for the center lane going into Broad, there was some talk today about maybe holding off on paving that last piece until we move traffic to the outsides like we did the last phase.
Last year, we moved traffic to the outside to pour the center lane.
Right, so that's just we're gonna have to go take a closer look at that and see exactly how we're gonna approach that,
But at a minimum, that'd just be probably the last block.
Right.
Broad to Bush, so.
Probably
Just a
not
little,
even that whole block,
yeah,
just
not even
that.
that whole block. It's a little tight there at Broad right now with our phase line. There's just a really tight corner. And with the need to use Broad Street right now for Red Wing Grain, there's just a heck of a lot of traffic that's making that right turn. That's kind of pinching that corner, and we're losing a few barrels a day already down there. And so the concern is to not only put some permanent pavement that until it's cured can't support vehicle traffic, but then the concern for the guys working there. So
Yeah, we gotta make sure we got working room to be able to pour those center lanes. And that's where we may have to wait to pour a portion of those center lanes after we shift traffic on the far outsides like we did last year. So that's going to be kind of reviewed this afternoon. We're kind of thinking through because that's work we're planning for next week. So we got to review how we're going to pour that center lane and make sure it's safe, and both for workers and the traveling public. So.
But
Good question.
Great question. So I think generally speaking, traffic's going to hold like it is for the next 3 weeks. I think at a minimum likely, except for maybe a little bit of modification there at Broad, but even that doesn't make sense to really do until the end here. Just because we need to access the whole north side, so it's nice to have that area closed, and it'll allow it to finish the fastest if we can keep it closed. So, and it's set up to be, and I think that's what we'd like to try to do.
Yeah.
But the road will start to look pretty complete here by the end of next week.
Any more questions? Marcy?
Any updates at Levy?
Yep, we talked about that. I think Ryan's got some good updates on where we're at down there. Been a lot of concrete work.
Yeah. We have, yesterday they poured the curb and gutter down the side of Levy Road, everywhere except for where there's an inlet, so we gotta go back and patch those in. But once that's done, which we're expecting we'll be able to do that later this week, that'll allow us, once that's cured, to flip the trucks at Red Wing Grain around and bring them
in on Broad.
bring them in on Broad and go straight through. So
And
we're
go
able to
straight
work
through,
on
yep.
we can work on the Levy parking lot.
Which is planned for
which is planned for next week, right? And the week after, we would close Broad and we would repave the Broad intersection. Which
On
would be
both
week
north
3.
and south of the railroad tracks there.
Right, right. And of course, down there, we've got a couple of subcontractors that need to finish up too. We've got the railing that needs to get installed on the wall, and there's still a gate from Stonebrook that they need to put on at the Red Wing Grain entrance. And they've got some fencing to replace for Marine Specialties. We've got some landscaping that's still happening down there by the Red Wing Grain offices, and I think that's all of our subs that are down there. So Doyle's still got some concrete to pour. They've still got some, of course, all those inlets to tie in that we talked about, the pedestrian curb ramps, and then they've got those medians. There's 3 points at the roundabout that each one of those has a colored concrete pour in it. So there's still probably 5 weeks worth of work down at Levy Road, and then we'll be able to punch that one out and move along. We'll be very close. It's interesting how both of these jobs are finishing at the same time.
Yeah, very close
But they are.
on that. Now, we are making provisions, even though we won't be completely done with Levy Road by River City Days. On Jackson, we're going to make sure we have a safe pedestrian way coming down through there, through the roundabout for people parking up on Old West Main or going up to Old West Main, things of that nature. So we're working on that, cleaning up our areas around our construction trailer to make sure we got parking over there. I know we've used some storage. Neats Electric has some things to move out of there, and Meyer as well, to kind of get it set up for River City Days. So there still will be barrels and construction area down there, but we're going to do everything to get it looking good and opened up as much as we can for River City Days down there.
Jay, will people be able to walk from Bay Point to Levy Park on the trail by River City?
Probably, trying to think.
Going to get paved. It's slated to be paved right now the last day of July, so I'd say probably.
Yeah, I would say we'd be able to open that up on the trail, be able to walk the trail. It looks like the railing is going in along the trail by the boathouses is that next week? S Brothers is coming in?
Next week is the plan for that, yeah.
So I feel better about that, having that railing in along there, right by the gangways to the boathouses. It's kind of a nice spot to sit and fish off of right now, but I feel better with bikes and rollerbladers to have a railing along there. So, so I think we could definitely have that open for that walk from Levy to Bay Point.
Will driving traffic be able to get between Bay Point and Levy?
That's what we're looking at, opening the road up next week, because we want to get the trucks through there. We'll have to see where we're at. You're talking about for River City Days.
Or River City?
Yeah. Straight line going through there, Ryan, that shouldn't be a problem for the weekend.
That's the plan, yeah. The plan is to have it open for vehicles and pedestrians.
Yeah.
That's the plan right now.
Jackson, for vehicles, maybe not, but we'll see where, because we've still got Stelter's driveway coming out, and that median's not put in place, but maybe we have one lift of pavement in there, so it actually could be opened back up. But we for sure want to get Jackson open for pedestrians, and maybe we could also have it set up for vehicles as well. So we'd have basically the roundabout functioning and everything feeding into Bay Point Park there. So we're shooting for trying to have it as open as possible. But there's going to be signage and barrels that are still going to be down there because we still are going to have work for the first couple of weeks of August to finish up.
It's going to be very close on those, both of those.
Yep.
So rains, maybe not.
What's
We
that?
don't talk about rain.
If we get a lot of rain, maybe not.
Yeah.
Likely not. If it
That
gets
definitely changes our scheduling, especially because so much of what we're kind of finishing up is concrete work. As you've heard, that's where we're at, and that's you can do a lot of things in the rain, but you can't pour concrete. So
Right.
what we're shooting for as open as possible. Any other questions? else to add, guys? All right, thanks for coming.